Welcome back to the Unveiled series. Now, in this series, we've introduced Shaolin monks, shape-shifting teenagers, and diabolical villains. But this time around, I think we should get a little more lighthearted. Let's enter the world of El Tigre.
Miracle City, a spicy cesspool of crime and villainy. This is the story of Manny Rivera, better known as El Tigre, the legendary grandson of the evil supervillain. Oh my loco!
Miracle City, the home to some of the most macho heroes and baddest banditos, and home to the crime-fighting family known as the Riveras. Despite its high crime rate, Miracle City is called a miracle because despite the constant criminal activity, it still maintains a decent status of living. Miracle City was actually modeled after Mexico City, the creator's hometown, George Gutierrez, the most notable comparison being how the city is built around a large volcano. Our story begins with the protagonist Manny Rivera, better known as
Manuel Pablo Gutierrez Rivera,
El Tigre. Manny is son of Rodolfo Rivera, the White Pantera of Miracle City's top superheroes. But his father, and Manny's grandfather, is Puma Loco, the polar opposite as one of the most notorious villains of Miracle City. This dynamic easily, as you'd imagine, causes Manny to fluctuate between the actions of a hero and the integrity of a villain. Not that Manny's best friend is of any help, Frida Suarez is probably one of the show's greatest petty criminals.
You don't mean take people's pets and return them for the reward money?
Kinda.
This is a good plan.
Seriously, Frida not only encourages but actively anticipates in wrongdoing. While honestly, this is understandable that everybody has varied childhoods, I get it, but I like to think that Frida, as the chief of police's daughter, had a classic overbearing father case back home. So it's very likely that from a psychoanalytical standpoint, Frida wanted to seek thrills and test herself to do what she wanted, like stealing and holding people's pets ransom to buy luxury brand Lux product. Moving on from Frida, we're going to talk more on the Rivera family. As I said earlier, with the show's primary gimmick being Manny belonging to a family with heroes and villains in it, and it has varied influences on his life at once. While Rodolfo, the epitome of virtue, he's also often a pitiful wreck in front of his son, literally sleeping under a giant painting of Manny's mother who'd left him, often crying or weeping or just in general having a mental breakdown. But he actually does everything he can to steer Manny and his legacy as a hero. Manny's grandfather, on the other hand, is Puma Loco, a super successful supervillain who I notice he will agree with Rodolfo when he scolds Manny, only to be hiding in the background scene, stealing some valuable object. Now honestly, when it comes to this tear between hero and villain gimmick, it's hard to admit that nostalgia may have played an effect on how good you thought it was as a child. Manny is stricken with a moral battle nearly every episode, and it does get a bit tiring, honestly. With Manny's constant lying and acts of petty crime, it's a wonder how he continues to tip the scales of heroism. I'll admit the majority of all of Manny's problems were his own bad judgment and selfishness, whether theft or simply taking advantage of the situation. These were all the exact reason that Manny often chose the highest thrill option, like when he chose to take guacamole from a random old lady in the supermarket and use the money he was given to buy actual guacamole to buy a tattoo laser machine. Okay? Or, you remember how I mentioned he and Frida literally kidnapped and sold people's pets back to them for luxury skating product?
Lowrider style.
Each of the Riveras possesses what appears to be an ancient mystical object, each varying in their abilities. Rodolfo possesses the bronze boots of truth, giving him super strength, super speed, and if he presses the soles of boots to someone, much like Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, he can force you to tell the truth. That's a lot of truth. The bronze boots have had other owners from the Rivera family, making them what appears to be a family heirloom. Puma Loco possesses the golden sombrero of chaos. Per his mental command, the sombrero transforms into a mecha battlesuit with gigantic claws. This suit's versatility is featured in the show constantly, from hot air balloons to missiles, even jetpack capabilities. And Manny and Frida have even stolen the sombrero for whatever illicit activity they had planned. Now when it comes to Manny and the El Tigre belt buckle, things go a bit deeper. The El Tigre belt buckle, when spun, transforms Manny into El Tigre. In this form, Manny is faster, stronger, and much more agile. He sports a set of claws and can even fire his hand like a grappling hook in longer distance situations. There has only been one other owner of the El Tigre belt buckle, the previous El Tigre suffering much of the same morality complex as Manny does. While unnamed, this older El Tigre was the father to Miracle City's first supervillain and another Rivera, Dark Leopard, and is Manny's great-great-great-great-grandfather. Being older than Manny, he has the same powers but with a much deeper mastery and understanding. My favorite episode was when they brought back all the previous Rivera heroes, and you see that El Tigre was the original Rivera, and through him the line of Rivera superpowered beings spawned, from El Tigre to Dark Leopard to the family's first superhero, Golden Leon, and so on and so forth. This shows not only the deep hero and villain complex entrenched in the family, but also highlights that Manny is the only other El Tigre to exist, so it's no wonder Manny is in the moral dilemma that he's in. No one alive knows what he's going through. After going through a bit more research, Manny becomes even more understandable. Even the original El Tigre couldn't overcome his evil or good issues. The indecision drove him insane, causing him to develop a split personality between hero and villain.
Destroy me for my insolence.
Whoa, he's nuttier than squirrel poop.
Excuse me.
What? I am both very big.
Side changing from between a good-natured guy to a maniacal laughing evil person. But he also can manage to have a normal personality to help his descendants during the episode Grave Escape that I mentioned earlier, where it featured all of the Rivera previous heroes and villains. I'll conclude saying that El Tigre was one of the first shows I enjoyed on Nickelodeon, and it became one of my personal favorites. It showcased the duality of superheroes and supervillains, especially when they're living in the same household. While there is no animated continuation of the series, the creator George Gutierrez has stated that there is a canon future that does happen, but that's for another episode. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been another episode of The Cycle.